Hey folks, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiatorius. So this is just a short video really to say I'm still alive. Sorry I haven't done any videos in the last couple of days. I've just been super busy, to be honest, with life, with plumbing issues in my house, too much work, these kind of things. But just to check in and say, hey guys, I'm okay. And I was reading something out of the fantastic book Swordsman of the British Empire, which I wrote the intro or prologue to, and that's by D.A. Kinsley and available on Lulu Books. I'll put the link below. And I often read through this. I've read it several times and I'm familiar with all the accounts in it, but it is absolutely chock full of accounts, and I just came across a short one which I thought I'd share with you, and it's from Andrew Steinmetz's The Romance of Duelling, written in 1868, and it's talking about events 50 years earlier essentially, and the article, or the title of this little piece, is called Waterloo Duels, and it says, when the British Army occupied the south of France, which seems to have been just before the this is talking about just before the Battle of Waterloo, especially in Bordeaux, French officers came over the Garonne for the sole purpose of insulting and fighting the English, in other words, dueling, who were, in many instances, absurd enough to meet their wishes. In other words, they went, yeah, come on then, we'll have some of that. Incidentally, there's in Wellington's own letters, this topic is discussed, so there's independent corroboration that this did happen. As the challenge usually came from the English, the French had the choice of weapons, and invariably selected their favourite, the small sword. Strange to say, the result was usually in favour of our countrymen, that is the English, who, being utterly helpless at carte and tierce, so parries, guards, and all the niceties of the science, just rushed on in defiance of guards and passes and spitted their enemy at once. In vain the Frenchmen protested that this was brutal, unchivalrous, and a crying outrage against the rules of fencing. Stalwart Englishmen stood by their friend and produced loaded pistols, threatening to shoot anybody who attempted to intervene. This system gradually produced a more wholesome state of feeling. And really, that is just to point out, as this is only a quick video, that frankly, idiotic kind of behaviour in fencing, which we sometimes see in, I've sometimes complained about in modern sport fencing, Olympic fencing, and indeed that we see in HEMA sometimes, not being wary of the opponent's weapon, charging in, double hits, all this kind of stuff. It happened, and it's historical, and really, whilst we should endeavour to fence in correct tempo and measure and as skillfully as possible, you have to, as a martial artist, prepare yourself for an idiot, quite frankly. And we talk about this quite regularly in class, and obviously one of my duties as a fencing teacher is to try and instill in people correct fencing attitudes, respect of the weapons, attacking in the correct tempo, covering your lines, all of this kind of thing, and not being suicidal, because clearly if we're going to study an art or a science, depending which you look at it as, but if we're going to study a skill week in, week out, then clearly our main aim is to become more skillful. Therefore, if you just want someone to go in and kill one of the enemy and then die, i.e. a kamikaze, that's easy. They don't really need a lot of training. They just need either lots of alcohol or drugs, or some fervent belief in the afterlife, or some other kind of motivating factor, or perhaps even lots of money given to their family. All you really need for a suicide warrior, a kamikaze, whatever, is someone who's just willing to charge in with a weapon, ignore whatever happens, and just crazily take out their opponent. But this, of course, in learning a martial art or in fencing, is not, what's the point in learning something if that's your only aim? Your aim should be to come out of it relatively unscathed, if in a perfect world, completely unscathed, and to maybe take out several of the enemy and still be unscathed. So, this is really just to say that whilst our aim is to be skillful and to do those things, equally, in order to do those things, you've got to recognise that not all of your opponents will be trying to do that thing. And you know, I've talked about this in reference to the qualifications for the London Masters of Defence in the 16th century, and they had to fight different types of opponents to achieve their master status. They had to fight untrained people, potentially a drunk person, and also skillful people. And this absolutely, any real, I would assert, any real or genuine and serious martial art should think about doing this. You should train to fight different types of opponents with different types of motivations. And yes, to deal with a kamikaze, a suicidal opponent, is incredibly difficult. But learning how to potentially do that, it can only strengthen you as a martial artist and increase your repertoire and make you a more complete fighter. Cheers, folks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, follow us on Facebook. You can buy t-shirts through Spreadshirt, support us on Patreon, or follow us on Pinterest. Thank you.